There's two major parties, and those are the two candidates that get pushed.
Well, no, that's not all the way correct.
Now, how come the other parties don't get no play?
There are other parties
The
on the
independent, they on the ballot, but then what about when they have the debates?
Welcome back to the latest episode of Commerce and Chill. I am Jessica Johnson Cope.
Waleed here.
Hi, Waleed here.
How are you, Jessica?
I'm fantastic. What's going on in your world? What's going on in Waleed's world?
Life's good. Just trying to get work done. Trying to drill down on the micro stuff to get it checked off the list so
What
I
are
can
top
have
two
peace of
things
mind.
on your list?
Content, and content.
Oh, that's a lot of
Content calendar.
So I'm going to jump right into things. Today, I want to talk about a subject. So recently, we came across an RFP for the city of New York to do some laundry, a whole lot of laundry. And you know how they say the devil is in the details? In reviewing the RFP, there were several pages that talked about voting. Did you know that the standard New York City contract for some services and products encourages employers to encourage their employees to register to vote? It also says that the employers must allow their employees time to go vote. So today we're going to talk about rock the vote.
So for that RFP, they're saying that you have to vote to be able to submit an RFP?
No.
Or they want to know the details of how you encourage your employees to vote?
No.
Or you can't bid on that?
No.
Okay.
They just encourage employers to encourage their employees to register to vote.
Why would that need to be in an RFP?
Because too many people don't vote.
But what does that have to do with the RFP?
Because ultimately, many of the issues that affect our businesses are a result of how people either vote or don't vote.
I don't disagree with that.
We're going to talk about rocking the vote.
Why would you mix apples and oranges?
How is
it? Why does that need to be in the RFP? But I'll leave that alone. And you said you
go ahead.
I just don't get why would that need to be in the RFP? If you're putting out an RFP to ask someone to do a particular product or service, why do we need to include any language about voting? Like, that is something I won't talk about. So you were saying
they also include language about taxes.
Well, about what? Paying taxes?
Like
I read it, but I don't even remember
arrears in your taxes.
Well, that's different. That's saying these are the qualifications you need to check these boxes to submit a bid or to participate in this type of work that they want done. Mm-hmm. But to not that I'm against voting, I just don't understand the reason for putting that in there, and then putting language in there to say what is you had to make accommodations for your employees to be able to go vote. Well, this we know. If people want to go vote, they go vote. Like the employer has to have
someone from being able to vote.
Yeah, like come to work. You can come to work late, go vote in the morning, or I don't know, leave work early and go vote. Like take the day off and vote if you want. I have no issue with that. That makes 100% sense to me. I'm just like, why does that need to be in an RFP?
Of all the things you need to talk about, why are you worried about whether or not it's an RFP?
Because I'm concerned about people putting things in stuff that has no business, which just creates more minutia.
So you think voting is minutia?
No, I think putting it in something that's related to a service that I'm trying to submit a quote for or a bid or whatever term is for that one has nothing to do with the other. Like, again, it goes back to what we talked about previously. When you spend this time going through these documents and you read through it, and it takes away time from your business because you're not doing something to run your business or to work on your business to hopefully get more business to grow your business. So now if somebody's putting all this extra stuff in here that's not germane to what the services or the product is, like you're making me spend more time. Now, if you want to have something that talks about and encourages, encourage small business owners or medium or large business, whatever, encourage your employees to exercise their right to vote, 100%. But anyway, go back to your point. Sorry, you were saying about rock the vote.
Yeah, I'm giving you the opportunity to talk about why it's important as business owners that we vote, because I think if you've seen Conversation Show before or you visited our social media profiles, you've probably seen some of our content as it relates to being involved, advocating for your business, having relationships and contact and communicating with your elected officials. So we've covered that extensively, at least I have. But from your perspective, why is it important that we as business owners vote and that we get our employees engaged in the voting process as well?
Well, you should vote so you can make your voice heard to your local and all the different levels of offices. I was going to say politicians. That's like, so your voice can be heard to the politicians. Like you vote to exercise your voice for what your concerns are. But like, I don't even feel right saying like you vote to exercise your voice and your concerns are, because really you're just voting for people who say they're going to, whatever they make during their campaign promises that you align with or you agree with, and you're like, okay, they're going to represent my best interest. So you cast a vote for that person, and then you hope when they get into office, if they win, that they go and do those things that they promised on the campaign trail, or wherever they on their platform, or the topics. But you've had way more experience in interacting with local politicians and like city, state, federal level, and even presidential. So, like, share with us, like, how do you feel, in the calls you've had, or the visits you've had in meetings? Now we're in the COVID age, so the Zoom calls that you've had, where you interact with some of the politicians as well as their staffers on their team to voice the concerns. What's so funny?
So 3 quick points. Did you notice how you completely putted the question? You didn't say
anything
about why it's important for
I said it's important to vote so your voice is heard.
People say, but that's not really what it is.
Because like I haven't listen, like somebody runs for office and they say they promise they're going to represent small businesses. Let's use that as a platform point, right? Mm-hmm. Like I hear politicians say stuff all the time, and then they get into office, and then what typically happens?
Depends.
It depends on some of the politicians, right? But on the norm, they get in and then they do other things.
That's no different than people who go apply for jobs. And then in the job interview, they say they're going to do this, that, and the other. And
right.
Then when you hire
but
them.
The difference is
you stop hiring people?
When I hire them, I can fire them if they're not doing a job. I believe when you hire someone, you don't know. You're going off the vibe you get when you meet them. Obviously, you want to look for the skills that they say they possess on the resume that you want for the job. But you're just not going to know until the person starts working.
When you know there's not a fit, get rid of it.
If you elect someone for a political office, if their term is 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you got to rock with them to the end of that term.
You don't have to rock with them. You can rock their boats.
But you can rock them. You can go call them. You can protest. But you're not putting them out of office unless they do something illegal, right? So as long as they do what like somebody gets elected, what if they just don't do anything? They sit in their office for their whole term and collect a check.
Hey, it's happened. It's happened here.
Right. It's
right
happened.
down the street.
Right. It's happened. But what I'm saying is I have different viewpoints. I'm not saying you shouldn't vote. I believe people should vote. But at the same, I'm not even going to say at the same time, because you're going to be like, oh, that's a contradiction. People say things, they get elected, and other things happen or they don't happen. And that bothers me.
But part of the reason that they're able to do that is because other people hold them accountable, right? So
are people holding them accountable, or people are influencing them by holding things over their head or in front of them?
See, like when you say it like that, that might make somebody not want to vote, because then it'd be like, oh.
No, I'm not saying don't vote. I'm just like, vote. Then vote for whoever you think represents your interest best. I'm not saying don't vote. I'm concerned about the system as a whole.
Listen what you said. You said that you vote for people who people should vote for people who do what's in their best interest. Right. But then you also said that when people are elected, when they're running, they say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this," and you think it's in their best interest, and then they don't.
Some don't. They say stuff. It's sound bites. I don't know. It sounds good, or people get all riled up and be like, "Yeah, that's what we want." And then they get in the office and it doesn't happen. They don't execute on it. It's a broke system, man. I don't know. But you've spent a lot of time. So let's talk about like the experience if you had and the good things that have come out of it, and you know how you have expressed your voice as a business owner, as well as your colleagues who are business owners who were on some of these calls and meetings with you with politicians.
Well, I'd like to take a step back first and just for transparency's sake, state that I served as a congressional page when I was in high school, and that was used to be a very...
That sounds fancy.
It's kind of fancy. You get to basically be an unpaid intern in Congress. And
did you live there?
They have dorms.
So you stay in the dorm down in
You stay in the
DC.
dorms. It's an office building down the street.
That's
But they don't have the program anymore. I think the program closed a few years ago. But you get to meet people who have been sponsored by Congress people from where they live. So
right.
I had a great group of roommates from Chicago and from Alabama, Mississippi.
So what kind of work did they have you doing as a page?
Oh, goodness. We were running messages. Most of the time we were delivering flags. So, like, if you have someone who is a veteran, you can order a flag in their honor or their memory, and you send the order to your elected official's office, and then there's a room where they process the flag
free?
order. No, you got to pay for it.
Wait,
But
so then you guys went and delivered the flags to the person's house?
or
you put them in the mail?
We go get the flags and take them to the representative's office, or take the orders down to the room where the flag room.
So the representative would send you to take it to the flag room, then they package it and ship it.
Yeah. And then there's also like the Congressional Record, the daily publication. So sometimes we'd have to go and get information from the Congressional Record room. And it depends. And if you had a really, really, really good sponsor, then they would invite you to sit in on meetings. And if there were constituents, then you could get to meet this.
That's why you're so good at politics and stuff. From
So
being a congressional page.
The sideline view as a high schooler, how Congress worked. So I've been very politically aware for a long time. And I think I better understand how the system is supposed to work than the average Joe. That being said, as an adult and as a business owner, I try to stay engaged with our local elected officials. And
that you do.
To that end, I recently had Zoom calls scheduled with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's office. We met with her staffers.
Senator.
Not to be confused with State Senator, U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, as well as Congressman Representative Hakeem Jeffries. We met with one of his staffers this week by Zoom call.
Just dropping names.
No, it's not dropping names.
I'm just saying because you're so involved. I'm saying you dropping names because you involved. Like you connected. You're involved. That's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not knocking it. I'm just like. I'm giving you your props.
Know who their elected officials are, even though their elected officials mail them things.
I get a lot. First of all, hold on.
What's going on?
It's not always your elected official that mails you stuff too. It'd be the other people who want it. No, I'm saying it'd be the other people who want to be your elected official. I've been getting a lot of stuff in the mail, bro. It'd be like, whoo. I was like, who is this? Some of it looked really good. Some of it looked like really other than good. Like it's a marketing. It's a marketing game. It's a marketing advertising game.
But you know what? We pay for that.
Oh, I know, because they're using tax dollars to send me direct mail that goes in the garbage. Like, you could be doing something else with that money that would have a better return on your investment.
But they want the constituents to know what they're doing.
I'm not saying they shouldn't, but find a better way than sending me a freaking 8x17 postcard with their picture on it or some stock photos from Envato Elements on it. And I look at it and be like, this does not look like me. Like, this does not connect with me. 100%, I am not their target audience.
Because they know you don't always vote.
I know, I vote, but let's be clear.
You don't vote every time.
Because I can't, because I'm not affiliated to either one of the major parties.
Right.
So I'm not allowed to vote in the primaries.
Right.
In where I live. So I get blackballed because I choose not to be affiliated with either of the major parties, so I can only vote in certain elections. So tell me something's not wrong with that system. Just because you choose to say, hey, I want to be unidentified, right? I don't even want to say independent because there's an independent party, but I choose just to be me. And when someone speaks to something that resonates with me, I'm like, okay, I'll vote for that person, not the party. Because just because they're part of the party doesn't mean that the party has my best interest in mind.
Right.
It could be that particular person who's running for a district leader,
Right.
or for city council, or for borough president, right? That person may have doing something that resonates with me, or did something in the community. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I'm voting for them because I want to see more of that. But just because they're Democrat or they're Republican doesn't mean I should vote the whole ticket. Like, so because I'm not affiliated with one of the two major parties, I get put on the sideline.
You know how they say elections have consequences. There are consequences to not identifying as part of one of the major parties.
That doesn't sound like a consequence.
Saying it's right.
That just sounds like, let's just suppress. Let's suppress you because you don't want to be part of this one or that one.
Well, maybe when we go to ranked choice voting next year, it'll be more in your favor.
Maybe. I'd like to get more choices during the process.
Well, part of not having more choices is the fact that more people don't run.
No, not more choices in the primary. I'm talking about more choices during the major elections. How come I can only vote for red or blue? Can I get?
Well, that's not all the way true.
There are like
the
other parties, but
in the primary,
you
can't vote.
Right, but
in a general election, you can vote.
I can vote, but I'm just saying the choices are limited in a general election. There's two major parties, and those are the two candidates that get pushed.
Well, no, that's not all the way correct.
How come the other parties don't get no play?
There are other parties
the
on the
independent, ballot. They on the ballot, but what about when they have the debates? The rules for the debates cut everybody else out. You have to meet this threshold for this, or you can't do it unless you've done this before. Like, why is that? If I want to run and I have
somebody would want to put their cat on the debate stage.
If their cat meets the criteria,
I wrote my cat in. My cat has 3% of the vote.
If the cat meets the criteria, you got to get those signatures. You got to get those signatures. If the cat meets the criteria, meow. Put them on. If whatever you have how many? They say you have to get those signatures before you can run.
Yeah, the number of signatures.
Right, but if I'm saying
depends on the office for which you're.
But if you meet the criteria, you meet the criteria and you can get on the ballot. You still not always allowed to participate in the debates.
That's true.
That's not fair.
Nobody said.
But
it was
anyway,
fair. Life's not fair.
Life isn't. But let's go back to what the positive parts we were talking about with you being involved with the politicians, with your colleagues representing business owners. How you find that beneficial working with them and having that connection to share your voice, your thoughts, and your experiences with them so they can understand what's going on as a business owner in their district or whatever the proper term is.
So I really appreciate having the opportunity to speak with the Legislative Council representatives for Senator Gillibrand and for Representative Hakeem Jeffries. It was almost like a tale of two meetings, right? Because the first meeting, there were about 20 of us, and we were all pumped up. We were like, let us tell you what our legislative goals are and what we'd like to see covered. And then the staffers were taking notes, and they asked us a couple of questions. We were like, let me tell you about my business. This is what I do. This is where I'm located. They're like, oh, da, da, da.
It was super engaged.
Super engaged. And we're like, yeah, we really want to be able to get a second PPP loan. We want you to do something about unemployment. We want you to do something about childcare, make childcare affordable or available so people can go to work and they don't have to stay home with the kids and do something with school. And they're like, yeah, that's great. That's great. Like, no lie. Say that we got us to call it like 4 o'clock. At 4:10, there was a message that came across the screen talking about, oh, the president said there's not going to be a relief package before the election. So it's like a big slap in the face because as small business owners, we're really talking about issues that are important to a lot of small business owners, and that trickle down and not only impact us, but impact our employees and impact our communities. So if you're telling me now there's not going to be a relief package and we're holding up part of the economy for the people that are still working. Right.
Majority.
For the people that are still working.
Majority.
Mind you, unemployment in the South Bronx is 25% nearly. So 1 in every 4 people is out of work. If I have jobs, but I need money and my money's not coming in because I'm waiting for payments from city, state, federal agencies, but that money's not coming in because people can't pay their taxes because they're not working. It's a cycle that keeps going. It never ends. And now there's people are telling me that there's not going to be a relief package. How am I supposed to keep my business running, keep my people working, keep my community afloat? And y'all playing politics with the money. Felt like it was a big slap in the face, and that whole conversation was for naught. Fast forward a week later, we meet with Michelle Ortega from Congressman Jeffrey's office. She's great. We had a more intimate meeting, or fewer of us, but we got to really dig down and go into in-depth conversation about our challenges, why it was that we needed a second PPP loan. She wanted to understand what the results were, how we used the money the first time, how many people we employed, how it was bringing people back to work if any of our workers had stopped working. And then we talked about unemployment. She had no idea how unemployment works. She's like, put me on. So we broke it down to her. She was like...
Go ahead, I'm listening. I'm always blown away when people don't know how stuff works in the system that they work for. But go ahead.
But most people don't understand.
I'm not holding it against her. I'm just like,
unemployment
how do you
is
not?
An insurance. So every time we pay payroll, we pay people, we have to pay that insurance fee to the appropriate state entity,
don't
Department
pay it,
of Labor. In many
it's a tax.
cases,
And if you don't pay it, you get in trouble.
And it's because it's an insurance, your rate is based on how many cases, how many claims you have, right? So you have more people that file for unemployment, your unemployment insurance rate is higher. So with so many people out on unemployment insurance, and with the look back period being about 2 years, so somebody worked for us 2 years ago, decided that they don't want to work for us anymore. Oh no, I'm off to happy pastures, greener pastures. I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. That got somebody in South Beach right now collecting unemployment.
Facts, 100%. Dude is in Miami and is collecting unemployment because he's like, I
don't feel comfortable going
I don't want to work. I'm going to take some time off, and he's getting unemployment. That is straight facts.
So they deduct that money from
the Miami
our account. And then as a result, our rate goes up. So next time we go to pay people, we're going to have to put more money into the pot. And it's a cycle.
So the question is, will the pot run dry because they're going to the pot so hard now during this pandemic because they're not putting the money back into the system to get the businesses back open, or passing the legislation or doing whatever needs to be done to get businesses back open safely so they could put people back to work to keep that money running in that economic engine?
Yes,
so
yes,
the question is, when does that pot hit bottom?
So for
you can only scrape so much rice out that pot.
The states supplement a portion of the payments that go to unemployed people, and then the businesses supplement the other portion. And there have been cases in some of the states, their unemployment insurance benefits accounts run dry, and they can take loans from the federal government to
might turn on the printer.
Funds.
Turn on the printer. We need to print more money.
But then what they end up doing is they increase the rates that the businesses have to pay. So in essence, it's like a tax. It's
to
a
pay the loan
burden.
off that they just got from,
right.
That they had to borrow money because they ran out of money. So then they raise the business's rates. So then the business gets taxed more.
Sounds like a Ponzi scheme.
Because the politicians who decided to get the loan, who didn't balance the budget correctly or not good at their finances, put the burden back on the business to pay more unemployment tax to fill the hole that was dug initially by someone else making that decision. Not the employer or the employee, a third party, or maybe even a fourth or fifth party.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not against unemployment insurance benefits.
Oh, you should have them because there are people who legitimately
they're a bridge.
They lose a job. It's a temporary.
They're not an interstate.
It says it's a temporary assistance program, and it's supposed to temporarily assist the person to get from point A to point B. So it's a bridge to get you from this work period to the next work period.
Until you can get back on your feet and working again. But this was not supposed to be an episode about a temporary bridge from unemployment to
about
employed.
voting.
It's about voting, right? And so we want you to understand that voting.
You should vote.
You should vote.
But you know what's really scary?
What's that?
They do a report in New York every year about voter analysis, right? It's called the Voter Analysis Report.
Okay.
And it's conducted, and it looks at the voting behavior of people in New York State.
Break it down.
So they looked at the performance of the 2018, looking at the midterm elections, which is crazy. They say New York ranks 41 out of 50 states for voter turnout. So out of 50 states, we're 41 for voter turnout. Not 19, not 10, not 5, not 1, not 3. We're number 41 out of 50 for overall turnout at general elections. And I don't know about you, but that sounds like a really low number to me, to be 41 out of 50.
Considering we send more of our tax money back to Washington than any other state, that's disturbing.
Then here's the crazy thing. He's not crazy, but here's very interesting. In this, they break down like age groups, people who register, the location, the boroughs, the places. They look at it very in depth. I encourage people to go look at it. But here's two other things I pull from it. They said in 2016, 2017, and 2018. What age group do you think has the best record for voting?
55 up.
Close. 60 to 69. They vote the most in those years that they looked at, 16, 17, and 18. Then, from a 10-year period, they looked from 08 to 18. They looked at voter patterns here in New York. Of the 4.6 million New York City, not the state, New York City people registered to vote. And this is based on people who are eligible to vote. 21% of registered voters in New York City did not vote. Only 3% voted every time when they could vote. So out of a 10-year period, 21% of registered voters in New York City did not vote at all. That's scary. And in that 10-year period, only 3% voted every time.
Now you see why they included in the RFP. Because hold on. The monies that the state and the city get from the federal government help to fund those contracts. And
100%.
So if employees who are working on those contracts are registered to vote and exercise their right to vote, that may help bring more money back into the district.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think there's just a better way to get out the message versus putting it in an RFP about encouraging people to vote.
That's why we're encouraging you to vote and encourage your employees to vote as well. And we could go on about voting for
a long time.
We just don't have that time to do that in this forum. But check in with us on social. Let's have another conversation. Let's keep the engagement going. And we look forward to seeing you real soon. Thanks for stopping by Commerce and Chill.
Go vote.